And so here for the 4th Congressional District, we've got Conrad Cable. The other candidate, Matt Gromlich, the other Democratic candidate, was not able to participate tonight. And so we will go through the questions with Conrad. And so I really appreciate your time and attention. And so, Conrad, we will start with your opening statement.
Sure. Hey, y'all. So it is not quite as easy to do one of these rapid fires. It is nice to have 90 seconds to think about the question, but I'm going to do my best to give y'all the answers that you deserve. So how do y'all feel about what is happening to our country? Are y'all mad?
Yes.
I'm running for Congress because we not only deserve better representation, but we deserve more. We don't deserve less. First, Speaker Mike Johnson, the 3rd most powerful person in this country. First, he betrayed our real Louisiana values by acting like a bad neighbor whenever he cut our health care and he ripped food out of hungry kids' mouths. And now, he has betrayed our real American values by throwing away his oath to the Constitution and licking Donald Trump's boots at every opportunity that he has. And I'd rather be a bootlegger than a bootlicker. So I believe that we have to hold Speaker Mike Johnson accountable, and let me tell you why I believe I am the Democrat who can do that. My brother and I own and operate a vegetable farm. My folks have lived in Marion, Louisiana, population 1,000 over there in Union Parish, for 6 generations since 1824. And I love this place, I love our people, and our people are worth fighting for, and this moment requires someone who is ready to stand up and fight for what we deserve.
Congressional District 4 is geographically large and includes parts of Shreveport, Bossier across North Louisiana, Ruston, parts of Monroe, and also all the parishes down practically to Lake Charles. So what do you think are the major issues facing this district, and how will you identify challenges in various parts of the district? And then what is it that you want people to know about the 4th Congressional District, and what makes it a good place to live, and what you value?
Well, I think that Mike Johnson thinks that we're a bunch of dumb rednecks who will believe any of the lies that he says. But I believe that Louisiana's 4th District has so much culturally to offer. We have Evangeline Parish in this district that has the highest number of Cajun French speakers in this state. We have so many different types of ecosystems, so many different types of people and economies. It's really a diverse area. And I think that first off, we have an affordability crisis not only in this country, but in this district. It's $4 a gallon for gas over in Farmerville. And I think that people's political allegiances stop at the gas pump. I believe that we have to protect Medicare and Medicaid, but we have to bring Medicare for all to this district because our people deserve in-home health care, not just access to a hospital. I believe that we also have to take a stand against corruption, and we have to speak to people who are disenfranchised because Louisiana and Louisiana's 4th District, it's not red, it is rigged. There are more disenfranchised voters who don't vote than there are Mike Johnson voters.
Amen. Yeah, I like to say that Louisiana is not a red state or a blue state. We're a non-voting state. And that's really why these forums and Roadshow are really important, because we've got to increase voter turnout.
Because it's a success when we have a 30% voter turnout. Jeff Landry was elected with how many people going to the ballot? 19%? That's not democracy.
Amen. Okay. The federal government is a major funder of infrastructure in Louisiana in partnership with the state. What do you think are the major infrastructure needs of North Louisiana, and what would you prioritize?
It's time for us to pass another New Deal. And I believe that we have to focus specifically on providing clean water for every zip code, because here in this district, 70% of our water districts have a C or lower grade, and that is unacceptable. 30% of our people can't access the internet at their homes. When my wife and I moved from Monroe to Farmerville, we went for 3 years without internet. My wife went through graduate school without internet at our home. And we have to provide people with more affordable options for that internet than just Starlink and Elon Musk businesses. If we want our kids to compete in a digital economy, that is how we do it, is by providing them with internet, by making it a public utility.
Okay, shootings across the state have been in local and national news. Louisiana is a state that protects the rights of individuals to own guns. Many people across Louisiana embrace efforts to encourage open carry and personal gun ownership, yet are concerned about violence and personal safety. What is the role of the federal government to ensure public safety? Should the government consider red flag laws, more background checks, or other limits on gun ownership? And what else can government policy do to address the issue of youth violence?
I believe that we absolutely have to have common sense gun reform that includes those red flag laws. I personally think that every gun that is sold needs to be sold with a lock. That sounds like more American jobs if you buy an American firearm. But I believe that this has so many different, this is a multifaceted issue. But one of the ways that we solve gun violence, I believe, is through a program like Medicare for All, because people deserve access to mental health care just like you do your annual checkup. We have a mental health care crisis in this country, and people who are struggling with their mental health care should not have access to a weapon. A few years ago, my wife and I were in Little Rock, Arkansas, and the car in front of us stuck a gun out of the window and went pop, 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 pop into the car next to them. It could have been us. You don't think that gun violence can happen to you until it does. And we have to avoid. Do y'all know the #1 cause of death of our children? Guns and gun violence. One of my friends in college, he and his buddy were playing with guns. We're playing with a handgun, and it went off and shot him in the chest, killed him dead. And we can avoid tragedies like that by not just making the investments in healthcare, but in providing common sense regulatory oversight for the Second Amendment. And I don't care how many NRA banquets Mike Johnson goes to. I'm a good old country boy, he can never outgun me.
Families across North Louisiana are seeing prices rise on groceries, gas, utilities, and housing. The issue of affordability is a major Democratic talking point. What can Congress do to address the most basic concerns of voters on the cost of living? And what will you do to prioritize as a policy how to help working families?
Well, if J.D. Vance can win an election on the price of eggs, and we as Democrats have to win an election on the price of gas, if it has gone up 40% in this state, our people can't afford that. We can't afford for diesel to be $5 a gallon, and the ramifications of what that's going to do for inflation. And so Congress has to not only stop the tariffs that are a stranglehold on every single small business, and as a small business owner, I happen to believe with all of my heart that small businesses are the backbone of our local economies. And every time that a small business owner turns around, there is another cut in their bottom line. And some businesses are only making a 10 or a 15% profit, especially farms. So it's not just holding the executive branch accountable for those tariffs, but it's also holding them accountable for illegal foreign wars like in Venezuela and in Iran, because we are not an American empire, and we do not invade foreign countries to steal their resources. I will never support legislation that uses the American military to expand an empire based on resources. That is last century. That is 1800s. And we are going forward, we're not going backwards.
Cuts to Medicaid are jeopardizing rural hospitals and access to care. Cuts to state funding are closing rural hospitals. How do you prioritize access to health care in the rural community, and how do you provide access to more services? So what are your biggest concerns about rural health care, and what recommendations or policies would you support in Congress?
Well, my biggest concern is that the big ugly bill is going to close 14 rural hospitals here in Louisiana's 4th Congressional District, one of them being Union General Hospital in Union Parish. And if that hospital closes, that means that people that I love, my friends, my neighbors, and my family are going to die because they can't access the health care that they need in an emergency situation. And if that's not a reason to run for Congress, then I don't know what the hell is. Because we have to treat people with dignity and respect, because that's what we do as Louisianans. As neighbors, we have each other's backs. And so I will not only support reversing the big ugly bill and the $1 trillion that were cut from Medicare and Medicaid, but I will advocate with every fiber of my being to pass Medicare for all, because I'm trying to be the change that I want to see in the Democratic Party. And it is time that our party get on board with providing people affordable access to health care that ensures their quality of life, that doesn't lead to them being bankrupt. My brother and my sister-in-law, one of those 20 million American families, that got a letter saying that their health care was going to go up because of the ACA subsidy extension. Their bill went from $400 to $1,400 a month. And my brother had to cancel his policy because my sister-in-law has pre-existing medical conditions. She can't go without health care. And right now, too many of our people here are having to make impossible decisions as a family. And that is not right.
Today, the Supreme Court ruled in the Louisiana versus Calais case that will encourage the governor and the legislature to redraw the congressional map and eliminate what is referred to as the second minority district. Some are concerned that the legislature will act to eliminate that district during this current legislative session and redraw the map for this election. The general consensus is that the current maps will be in place for the fall election, hopefully. If elected, what will you do to protect the voting rights of Louisiana citizens? The current Congress and Supreme Court are working to roll back the Protection of the Voting Rights Act. How will you protect access to voting, ensure fair and transparent election administration, and what's your position on redistricting commissions to avoid partisan gerrymandering?
Melissa, I've got 90 seconds here. Come on.
You can pick any one of those questions. I was packing them in. Sorry.
Okay, so I don't like to get into speculation. I do not believe that the district is going to be redrawn before the election in November. But what we have to do is we have to fight like hell, because our right to vote is being interpreted as a privilege. And so it's not just the Louisiana v. Calais case that has dismembered Martin Luther King's legacy. The last vestige of the Voting Rights Act has now gone away, and the Supreme Court may say that that's not what their decision means, but that's how the Republicans are going to interpret it. We just had Governor Landry kick 500,000 voters off the voter rolls in this state. We have the SAVE Act going through Congress under Mike Johnson's leadership. And under Mike Johnson's leadership, this is the first Congress since the Civil War that has made it harder to vote, not easier to vote. Since the Civil War, we are going backwards. People are being disenfranchised at an incredible rate. And so I will do everything in my power to make sure that everyone casts a ballot. I believe that our democracy can't function when 30% of our people are participating in the democratic process. We are a country that is, the fabric of our country is democracy and laws, not men. And what these guys have done is, because their policy is so unpopular, they tried to rig the system at every soft turn, eroding it here, eroding it there, until eventually the levee is going to break, like what's happening with this SAVE Act. Disenfranchise nearly every single female voter who has changed their name. I just went down to the state legislature, and they're talking about doing citizenship checks at farmers markets. What kind of dystopian society are we heading towards? So we have to look at voting as a right. That means same-day voter registration. I believe we have to be able to cast a ballot on our phones. I signed for my $250,000 mortgage through DocuSign on my phone. If we can do that, then I think we can vote securely online. We have to engage everyone in the process because our vote is our power.
Okay. Louisiana has a network of private prisons and 10 ICE detention centers that are sites of systemic human rights abuses, including medical neglect, sexual abuse, inadequate food, and there have been 3 deaths in these programs in the last several years. The prison and ICE detention center network in Louisiana is seen as regional economic development.
Yeah.
And many people, local people, benefit financially from the payment for federal and state agencies to operate these private prisons. The ICE detention centers are extremely expensive to operate, and Congress and the current administration has dedicated billions of dollars to ICE and immigration enforcement. What is your position on the current investment in ICE detention facilities in Louisiana? Do you consider these private prisons and ICE centers as economic development?
No.
Do you support closing these centers and reallocating federal funds to improve Louisiana healthcare, education, and infrastructure or other priorities?
Yes, I believe that private prisons are a modern-day form of slavery, and we have to... And we have to eliminate imprisoning more people than even the most authoritarian countries in the world, because the sad truth is that we live in one of the most authoritarian states in this country. We have to stop the school to prison pipeline. We have to stop community leaders from thinking that private prisons are a way to spur economic development. Because I'm telling you, I call blue dog Democrats. There was one fella in Allen Parish who tried to convince me that carbon capture in private prisons were the only way his parish can stay afloat. And I'm here to show people that there's a better way forward than that. We can stop the school to prison pipeline by investing in early childhood education. We can stop the school to prison pipeline by reclassifying nonviolent drug offenses as mental diseases instead of with a criminality. We can make sure that our communities are receiving investments in education and in healthcare, because the truth is that healthcare, whenever you look at the economics of the rural parishes here in the district, all 20 of them, it's one of the number one, or if not the second highest employer for people in those parishes. And so healthcare is a big part of jobs in our state. So not only are we going to be losing that access, but we are going to lose quality jobs. And most importantly, we have to have a war on poverty, because poverty is violence, and hungry, desperate people commit crimes when they have no other option.
That completes the formal questions. You now have 2 minutes for a final statement.
That was fast. Okay. Y'all, I'm a regular person standing up to do the right thing. Whenever I was in high school, my football coach used to tell us, guys, do the right thing. It ain't that hard. And what we needed was for Mike Johnson to do the right thing, but he's proven time and time again that he's not willing or capable of doing the right thing. This man shut down the government for the longest time in American history to protect people who raped children. That's the reality of the situation that we're in. We are talking about the gospel in the hands of people with no empathy. We're talking about authoritarians who are tyrants using theocracy to control and manipulate people. And I am here to show the good people of Louisiana that I still believe know the difference between what's right and what's wrong, that there is a better way forward. I'm asking for your vote on May the 16th because I believe that I am the Democrat who has what it takes to hold Mike Johnson accountable and fight back for the rights that we deserve. I'm asking all of you to do more than show up at one of these forums. You have to get involved in one of the Senate campaigns, in your local government campaigns, and hopefully in my campaign, because it's going to take all of us working together to show them that organized people beat organized money. I just hired a volunteer coordinator who made her bones with Stacey Abrams, so I hope that you will consider signing up on my website, conradforcongress2026.com, because we're really not just activating you as a local activist, we are empowering you with the knowledge and the tools that you need to make a difference. And so I can't get off the stage without saying that I am running a grassroots campaign. I have a huge fundraising deadline tomorrow by the end of this month that I am still $5,000 short of hitting. And I hate that our campaign finance system makes me beg for hardworking people's money, but that's the reality that we're in. So I'm asking all of you to give what you can. I'm asking folks for $26 for us to take back the House in 2026, and every dime that is coming into this campaign is being spent on voter contact, because I believe with all of my heart, if we get my message and platform out to the voters of this district, we can make this race competitive and we can beat Mike Johnson at the ballot box.
Thank you, Conrad.